Yeah, like you said, it was always very a two-player race between in the 8-bit and the 16-bit days. There was Sega and Nintendo. And I actually do remember when Sony was presenting this box called the PlayStation in 1995, very early days. And people don't realize this, but it took a while for them to get a foothold. It wasn't until like 97, 98 when they actually started to kind of build steam. But I would say it was always, like you said, two or three major players. There was always a rush to kind of get the game, like be a launch title for one of these big hardware platforms. That was a big deal because you would benefit from the halo of the marketing support of each one of the console manufacturers. Not to mention like potentially like other incentives like development support and other things. And so, yeah, it would traditionally go in these 5-year cycles where you'd ramp up for each cycle. You would really, developers would get the most out of the hardware towards the end of the cycle. So it was always a big challenge because you're starting to really get the most out of the hardware and do new things, innovate gameplay, and then you're moving on to another piece of hardware. But the thing that I noticed was that games really evolved from being something aimed at or kind of characterized for boys in the bedrooms, for young kids. When I first got into the industry in the early 90s with Nintendo and Sega was really a teenager kind of thing. And what we've seen is a whole generation kind of grow up with consoles, and it's really become a viable entertainment medium next to music, television, and movies. And so what's nice and what we saw, especially in the 2000s, was almost this pop culture embracement of consoles, particularly on the PlayStation 2, with games, whether it was Guitar Hero, whether it was all the sports simulation games, or a game like Grand Theft Auto. It really became part of pop culture and expanded the audience significantly.